If you value your health and want to age with quality of life, today's topic is one of the most important we've ever covered. When we talk about Alzheimer's disease, most people immediately think of recent memory loss or forgetting family members' names. However, modern medical science, supported by organizations such as the World Health Organization and major neurology research centers, has revealed that the body emits physical signals long before the mind begins to fail noticeably. Often, these signs appear 10 or even 15 years before clinical diagnosis. Understanding these early warning signs is key to intervention that can completely change the course of aging. Therefore, I invite you to follow every minute of this explanation, because what we will share here are not assumptions or popular sayings, but data based on the latest scientific evidence. Furthermore, I ask that you stay with us until the end of the video, as we have reserved a golden tip that we call nutritional synergy, something simple, but that makes a profound difference in protecting your nervous system and that few people know about. I'd like to start by asking you, have you ever noticed any subtle changes in the way someone you love walks or their sense of smell? Have you ever found yourself worried about lapses that seem to go beyond everyday tiredness? Share your experience in the comments below, as your interaction helps our community grow stronger and spread quality information. Grab a pen and paper to write down today's golden tip and remember it. Alzheimer's disease is characterized by the accumulation of specific proteins, such as beta-amyloid, which form plaques between neurons. These plaques act as obstacles that prevent the passage of electrical impulses, causing a kind of interruption in brain communication. What current medicine teaches us is that this interruption doesn't only happen in the memory area, but in various regions responsible for motor, sensory, and spatial control. One of the earliest and most frequently ignored signs is the loss of the ability to identify odors. The olfactory bulb, the region responsible for our sense of smell, is one of the first areas to be affected by this degenerative process. If you or a loved one has stopped smelling coffee in the morning or no longer perceives strong fragrances without having respiratory problems, this warrants careful professional investigation. Another key point highlighted by research is the alteration in gait, the so-called motor cognitive risk. Studies indicate that the brain begins to have difficulty coordinating the rhythm of steps. The person may start walking more slowly with short steps or slightly dragging their feet. This is not necessarily age-related weakness, but rather a sign that the electrical commands from the brain to the muscles are encountering resistance. It is the central nervous system giving the first signs that it needs specific attention and care to maintain its functionality. Furthermore, we need to talk about the precision of fine motor movements. You know that simple task of buttoning a shirt, using a key, or tying your shoes? These actions require complex coordination between vision and the motor cortex. When the neurodegenerative process begins, these tasks become progressively more challenging. The hand seems less responsive than before, and objects may fall more frequently. Science explains that this occurs because the mental depth map and motor response are being affected by the silent progression of neuronal changes. Often, family members perceive that the person is clumsy, but in reality, the brain is losing its ability to calculate distances and process three-dimensional visual information. This can lead to falls or minor household accidents, such as dropping a glass off the edge of a table. It is crucial to understand that identifying these signs is not a reason for panic, but rather for action. Preventive medicine has advanced significantly, and the sooner we look after brain health, the better tools we have to promote cognitive longevity and independence. Prevention relies on solid pillars that science confirms every day. Constant cognitive stimulation, for example, is like weight training for neurons. When we learn something new or challenge our routine, we create what we call cognitive reserve. This reserve acts as a safety net. If some connections are lost, the brain has alternative pathways to maintain function. Therefore, curiosity and continuous learning are powerful natural remedies. I would like you to reflect on the last time you learned a new skill and share it with us. Everything we've discussed so far shows that the body speaks and the brain signals its needs much earlier than we imagined. We are entering an era of medicine where information is the greatest ally of public health. By understanding that Alzheimer's has physical, sensory, and motor facets, we move from the realm of fear to the realm of conscious care. This video is structured as an educational guide, bringing you the most modern information in medical literature so that you can have autonomy over your health and that of your family. It is crucial to understand how this information applies to everyday life. To better illustrate this, imagine the story of a person we will call Donna Helena. Helena has always been an active woman, but her family began to notice that she kept her house keys inside the microwave and sometimes forgot the names of very close neighbors. Fear gripped her children, who immediately suspected an Alzheimer's diagnosis. However, when they took Helena to a specialist, they discovered that the problem was a severe vitamin B12 deficiency, something very common in the elderly due to difficulty with gastric absorption. just as happened with Mr. Marcos, a gentleman who began to have difficulty walking and presented with fluctuating mental confusion. Helena's case teaches us a valuable lesson. Marcos was also initially diagnosed with dementia by his family, but after detailed laboratory tests, the doctor realized that his vitamin B12 levels and thyroid function were completely deregulated. Upon starting appropriate vitamin replacement under medical supervision, Marcos recovered his mental clarity and balance when walking. This happens because a lack of B12 affects the myelin sheath, which protects our nerves, perfectly mimicking the symptoms of Alzheimer's. Therefore, we emphasize the importance of never accepting forgetfulness or physical changes as just a sign of aging without thorough investigation. Current medical science, supported by studies from world-renowned universities, shows that many cases of mental confusion are reversible when the cause is nutritional or metabolic. This is why you should always consult a geriatrician or neurologist for a complete panel of tests. Identifying nutrient deficiencies early can restore autonomy and the joy of living to a person who is already considered ill by their family. But what if the diagnosis is actually the beginning of a neurodegenerative disease? Even in these cases, modern medicine offers tools to manage the condition and maintain quality of life for much longer. The first golden rule for brain protection is quality sleep. Recent studies on the glymphatic system reveal that while we sleep deeply, the brain activates a cleaning mechanism that removes toxic waste, such as the beta-amyloid protein we mentioned earlier. Those who don't sleep well accumulate this waste, which considerably increases the risk of cognitive problems in the future. The second rule for keeping a young mind is constant challenge. The brain needs to be stimulated to create new synaptic connections, which scientists call neuroplasticity. If you always do the same things, your brain goes into autopilot and atrophies. Try changing your route to the market, learn to use a new feature on your cell phone, or start a hobby that requires motor coordination and reasoning. These small challenges force neurons to seek new pathways, creating a protective network against the natural wear and tear of time and against disease. The third pillar, and perhaps one of the most neglected, is blood sugar control. Researchers are already referring to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes due to the strong link between insulin resistance and brain inflammation. Excess refined carbohydrates and sugars can inflame nerve tissues, impairing communication between cells. Opting for a more natural diet, rich in healthy fats and vegetables, is a direct way to protect your neurons. I'd like to know from you, how is your sleep and eating routine today? Leave your comment below so we can talk. Now comes our golden tip, something you can start doing in your kitchen today that has a real impact on protecting your neurons. Science has discovered that one of the brain's greatest enemies is chronic inflammation. To combat this naturally, there's a powerful combination that experts call nutritional synergy. The mixture of turmeric, ground saffron, with black pepper and extra virgin olive oil. Turmeric contains curcumin, a compound that, according to studies published in scientific neurology journals, helps prevent the formation of the beta-amyloid plaques we discussed earlier. But pay attention to the detail that makes all the difference. Curcumin alone is poorly absorbed by our body. For it to reach your brain, you need piperine, which is found in black pepper. Pepper increases the absorption of turmeric by up to 2,000 times. Furthermore, curcumin needs a healthy fat to be transported, and that's where extra virgin olive oil comes in. In a small bowl, mix 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder with a generous pinch of freshly ground black pepper and 1 tablespoon of good quality extra virgin olive oil. Stir well until a smooth paste forms. You can consume this mixture pure once a day or use it as a final seasoning on your main meal, such as lunch. This simple habit creates an antioxidant shield in your body, helping to keep your brain cells clean. It's a preventative, natural care based on the latest in functional nutrition applied to mental health. Start today and feel the difference in your mental clarity and overall well-being. We're nearing the end of this content, but your journey to well-being is just beginning. Remember that every small daily choice counts towards the future of your memory. Your interaction is what motivates us to continue researching and bringing the best of science to this channel. If you have any questions about the signs we discussed or want to suggest a topic, write it in the comments below. Your participation helps others find this video and get the right information, avoiding unnecessary fear and promoting the preventative care we all deserve. We would like to emphasize that this video is strictly educational and informative and does not replace medical consultations, diagnoses, or professional treatments. Always consult your doctor before starting any changes to your diet, supplementation, or exercise routine. What works for one person may not be ideal for another, and biological individuality should always be respected by a qualified healthcare professional. What did you think of today's tips? Were they useful to you? Tell me in the comments, I will be happy to answer them. What other prevention topics would you like to see here? Leave your opinion below so we can bring new content every week. Stay well, everyone. A big hug.